Good evening and welcome to the Australian Stock Market Show. The old adage about how to profit from the stock market is to buy low and sell high, and this is exactly what tonight's show is all about as we get into what we believe are 10 undervalued stocks in the Australian stock market, and more importantly, we're going to answer whether now is the time to buy them. First up tonight, we'll share our hot stock tip for the week before diving into our view on the All Ordinaries Index. Later on in the show, we'll take a look at Nickel Industries, Retail Food Group, and heaps more. So sit back and relax. Tonight will be jam-packed, as we'll also answer emails, take your phone calls, and give you the answers to some of the most important questions around the stock market. Hello and welcome to the Australian Stock Market Show. I'm Dale Gillham, your host for tonight, and joining me is Janine Cox, and we're Australia's most trusted stock market educators. Hello, Janine.
Great to be here tonight. I'm really excited about the show. Now, Dale, last week's hot stock tip was Lend-Lease, and it rose 10.7% last week, and so I'm sure our viewers are eager to see what you have tonight. So, what is your hot tip?
Well, you have to wait for that one. No, I'll tell you right now. It's going to. No, it is. I'd like to say that I made it go up last week, 10.7%, but I'm not going to say that. But tonight we've got Resolute Mining, and if we go onto the laptop, we can actually see. I've just brought it up on Market Index, and I'll bring up a chart in a minute. But you can see this is sort of the last 5 years. It's had a really big downturn through here. But Resolute.
You didn't cause that, did you?
No, I didn't cause that. But I think it's worth looking at the moment. And if this goes up over 10%, I think I'm going to be moving the market too much. Okay. So I think I'll have to I'll put money into before I say it after the next one. But it's actually a gold miner. And the reason why I like this one as a gold miner, because I think I did an interview with Dana Samuelson, a gold expert, last week, and he's saying gold is poised to be on the verge of a big run of the next 10 or 20% over the next 12 to 18 months. So part of it, this is the reason why I do like that. He'll be on Talking Wealth, I think, this week. He's got some, we're going to launch some on Thursday, one of his interviews, another one next week. So any Talking Wealth subscribers will be able to do that. But they are a gold miner, a gold explorer, a gold developer. And they're really, it's a really interesting company. Now, negative here is the EPS is minus 0.29%, so its EPS is down, but revenues are up and everything else, so it is looking good. I think this will switch around, so I don't mind the stock at this point in time. But let's go and have a look at the chart just to see what we're talking about on the chart. And I'm going to bring up the monthly chart here, and you can see here there's a huge big bottoming pattern through here from about 2010. Now it just dipped through it back into October to 2022, but since then it's moved up and come back nicely, and this is a monthly chart, so June came down, but we're seeing a nice little move up. So if you're nice and conservative, when it gets through that level at 53 cents of that horizontal line, that would be a crackerjack stock to buy. Now it's a fair way from where it is right now in percentage terms, because it's at 42 cents and that is up at 53 cents, so it's a reasonable percentage. But I wouldn't worry about that, because there's a ton of time for some good profits here, and it does trend when it does trend. It does go when it does start to trend in the right direction. If I get my mouth working properly, Janine.
That'd be great.
It would be really good if I had my mouth working properly. So for conservative people, as I said, I would wait till it got past that 53 cents, get up to 54 cents, and I think I'd take that. But looking at it over here on the weekly chart, you can see it's quite a volatile stock. It's not a high cap stock, but it's not too low. It's got reasonable volumes going through it, and as you can see, we've had this huge big trend down from 2019 all the way down here. So it's gone from over $2, which was actually $2.12, all the way down to this little level down through here, which was December last year, down to 16 cents. Now if we look through here, you'll see it has risen up 223% up into May of this year. But then what we've seen is a big fall away, and it's fallen down about 30% down into this low through here. If you can see that, it's roughly about 30%. So it's hit its bottom on this nice long strong support level through here, so it is setting itself up. It's a little bit too early right now because it is possible it may come down somewhere in towards this blue dashed line, so just be careful at the moment. But I think if it does get through that level, it's definitely a good buy. If it goes below this low, it's a good buy until it gets down to about this level, and then it'll go. So right now a little bit too early, but it does need to prove that this is going to hold. So I want to see it move up, come back a little bit, find some support above there and take off again. But I think this could be a crackerjacker for the second half of this year. Janine, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to hold you on record for that as a crackerjacker.
A crackerjacker,
Yeah.
that's a technical...
Is that a new term?
That's a technical term for 2 thumbs up.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Well, that's it for our weekly hot stock tip. If you have questions for us, call us on 039290 9988. That's 039290 9988. If you prefer to text, send your question to the number on your screen.
Now, to get things started, we've got some giveaways. In the first caller into the show will get a copy, or a free copy, of my book, my second book, Accelerate Your Wealth. So pick up your phone right now, dial 92909988. Now, tonight is the first week of the month, which means we take a look at the Australian stock market. So let's get into the charts. Okay, on your screen right now is the All Ordinaries Index, or the XAO. You better give your thoughts, because they hear me every single Monday on Talking Wealth do it.
Look, what
Well,
I
some of them
find
do
what I
anyway.
find really interesting about what the market's done recently is the fact that we've got this point here, which is in June 2023, where the market appears to have found some support, but it's really not conclusive just yet. All we need to see is a strong rise back above these highs here of, that's April.
Well, do you want to
And that
blow
will
it up so we
indicate-
can see it properly?
No, not yet, because I want to go back to the monthly chart.
Okay.
So one of the things that I wanted to have a look at today was just look at outside bars and what we mean by an outside bar. So
Yep.
when we teach students, we talk about the different colour coding of bars
Yep.
and the importance of the open, high, low and close.
Yep.
Now, an outside bar is where we've got, in this case here, we've actually got a higher high for the month and a lower low for the month. So it means that there's often a lot of indecision. Where you see stocks with a lot of outside bars on the chart often means that they can be far more volatile. But what's really interesting about the market is a lot of these in recent years have formed where there's been important turns in the market. So we've seen that high for
not
COVID.
unusual.
It's not unusual. We saw an interesting one here at the high of the market in January 2022. The market went sideways, but it did eventually go down. And then the market tried to move up here with this outside bar in January 2023, but shortly it reversed after that. So it's really like a bit of a warning sign. It can mean strength as well. So we saw this move in February 2021 and the market just continued to trundle higher. But it's really about reading the market on a case-by-case basis, looking at these opens, highs and lows and closes, and looking at, you know, whether the volatility is such that it's something that you really need to look at. I mean, the range of that bar in February 2021, you wouldn't say was anything to be hugely concerned about because
No.
it wasn't out of the ordinary. But when you start to see moves like this, you know that we're in for a further dive more than likely, or that part of the fall's already happened and it's concluded.
Well, it's the science of where the opens and closes are compared to the highs and lows.
Yeah, exactly, because it's about the strength, isn't it? So, like for example, this bar in November 2016, it actually opened quite high on the bar, traded all the way down and then came back up to close high, which is a really good sign of that there's a further rise likely. But it doesn't always mean that that's the case though, and that's what you've really got to look at a lot of them, I think, and get experience looking at
A lot of
these
people
sort of moves.
don't give this sort of stuff much credence, but we use this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
You know. So where's the All Ordinaries going to go in your opinion? They know what I think, or the Talking Wealth subscribers know what I think. So
Look, I mean, I've been saying the market's going to go up for a long time. However, it's still sitting in a sideways move. So until the market takes off through this high here in April, then it's sideways. So that's
it's
what
been
I'm waiting to
sideways for
see.
2 years. People want a bit more certainty than that. So
Well, I just gave it to you.
no, you didn't.
Yes, I did. As soon as the market goes above the April high, I think it's going up. That's as simple
So
as
what's
that.
it going to do if it doesn't do that
Keep
in the
it
next
simple.
month? It's going to go
Kiss.
sideways
You know
till
that
when?
one?
So you're saying, hang on, I'm married.
No, it doesn't mean kiss.
Oh,
Keep it simple.
smart.
Yeah, that's it.
Keep it simple, smart. So basically, you're saying the market's going to go sideways. If it doesn't go sideways, it's going to go up.
Exactly.
Okay. So therefore, that's what you've had it. That's it for our thoughts, isn't it?
That's it for our thoughts on the Australian market. Dale said it in one. Next, we have some great stocks to share with you, including NIC, RFG, and FPH.
All right, Janine. Now it's time for Janine to get into our first email. Our first email is from Chris, who says, "Hi Dale, I hear you're a bit low on questions." No, we're not. We've got too many of them, mate. So can you have a look at Nick for me? I don't own the stock, but I'm interested in it. It has a market cap of $2 billion, good volume, strong revenue growth, and is a nickel miner where strong growth is predicted. I like the chart and it looks like it trends well, but the downward pressure makes me hesitant. I feel like it also could be running along a longer term upward trend or momentum. Now, if the stock was to start moving up, at what point would you say the direction has changed, and over how long would you assess that? I'd be looking medium term on this one. Hope that makes sense. Cheers and beers, Chris.
You'd like that.
He's my man. Cheers and beers. I like beers. Yep.
Yeah, very good.
So,
all right. Now, first of all, would you say it's trending on a long-term uptrend? I think the fact that we've had this massive reversal and this correction indicates that it's been broken. So that's the first thing. I actually really like this stock, and we had it on a previous show. So,
yes.
You know, I'm just waiting.
You talked about lithium and you talked about nickel on the same show.
So I'm waiting for this stock to make a move up. So that's the first thing. So I really like the stock that you've put up, Chris. I think it's great. But the issue is we've had this downtrend. It's a confirmed downtrend.
Well, that downward wedge shape at the end on that weekly chart, I don't really like that at the moment, but it needs to give me a bit more strength.
It does. And look, I think the resistance around this point here, which is just over around that $1.20 mark, has been holding it back for a while. And $1, you know, it's amazing how many times that $1 comes up and it shows that the stocks really hit their heads on that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like buying stocks over $1, do they?
Yeah, it's just some sort of psychological resistance level there.
So back to his one of his questions is, at what point would you think there could be the trend is confirmed, and at what point? And to me, unless it got through there, I think you can't say that would then be the medium to longer term trend would be up. But until it goes through that sort of level, I don't think we could call that. Even if we get a few weeks up through here, again, at that point there at $1 was $1.16, $1.17. I think I'd be sitting back until that point.
To an extent, it depends on your risk appetite, the judgment that you make about this. Because, I mean, when it turned that point there, it did trend up. That's a confirmed trend there, and we've got another trend down here. So when you see that sort of thing happen, sometimes stocks could shoot right up through these sideways moves. But the great thing about this is we've got these lows here. So, Chris, if it takes out this low on the week ending 30th of June, it's more likely to go down. You know, it's that simple. If it takes out this high here, there's a reasonable probability it could keep going up. And I guess if you're a short-term to medium-term trader, you're going to turn it into that sort of a proposition, then you need to decide at what point you're happy or comfortable with confirming that move going up, and that's really what it's all about.
Correct. I was being very conservative for him, so then anyway. But we do have a caller, Janine, we need to get to. I believe we've got Yes on the phone. Have we got Yes?
Hi, Dale.
How you doing, mate? Thanks for calling into the show. Do you have a question for us tonight?
Yep. Just before I give you the question, I just want to say to all the viewers to get out there and do the diploma. Work within is a great organisation with people, employees or people that work in the company that genuinely want to help you. And yeah, that's a great company, and they should get out and do one of the courses.
Oh, thank you, mate. Thank you, mate. Because you've finished the course now, have you?
Yes, I've finished the diploma now for a couple of months.
Fantastic.
And I've just changed my life around slightly, but I'm really enjoying it, and something to look forward to when I get home after work and on the weekend.
I normally look forward to seeing my wife. You're a strange person, yes?
She looked at me on the laptop and said, "Are you spending too much time there?" But I genuinely love it. So I've called to give you my hot tip of the week.
What's your hot tip of the week? Yes, I'm sure everybody wants to hear that.
It's a speculative stock, HCH.
HCH, yep.
Yeah, but it's gone sideways here for a long period of time.
Yep.
And it's in that copper space, and it's probably third attempt now at breaking that $1.30 mark.
Yep.
I just wanted yours and Janine's thoughts on
Short, medium, long term?
I think it could race away to $2 very quickly if it gets over that $1.30.
All right, so that's short term.
It'll be a short to medium.
Okay, cool. All right, well, Janine's got it up on the screen. Again, thank you very much, Yas, and keep asking the questions and keep trading. So let's get into
Now,
HCH.
I think that Yas just went out and bought some because the price has gone up this week.
Maybe it should have been my hot tip of the week.
But this stock looks really interesting, actually, and I know this is talked about, out there in the industry. So looking at the pullback here, it looks really nice, actually, the shape of this rise that's happening. It's a bit of a consolidation, you can see there, moving sideways, but eventually they have to break out, and it looks like it's just about to, doesn't it?
I'm guessing, I don't know what they do, but Hot Chili sounds to me like a tech company.
He said copper.
Oh, is it copper, is it? Oh, geez, I'm wrong on that one,
I told you had to have your ears cleaned out.
They use copper for tech, don't they? So what are you suggesting? Yas is onto a good thing?
I think it looks really interesting.
Look,
I mean, it's not for everybody, and you can see how illiquid this stock is. So, one thing that is interesting for Yas is that he's just at the early stages of learning, is when you're starting to see, and we do teach people about the difference between liquid and illiquid stocks, and he knows that we say don't buy these type of shares.
Yeah, but Yas is being smart, and from what I know, I mean, I wasn't, like, the team was supporting Yas.
Yeah.
I know I did answer a couple of questions for him during his time with us, but he's one of those people that can be a little bit more impatient.
Okay.
But he does most of his trading is really, really good stocks. This is what we teach with people who are a little bit impatient, and I use the word impatient.
You're going to let them play.
We let them play with a little bit of money and go, just play with that, because that will serve that whole thing in you that you have
I want to get in.
I want to get in. So I do like it, and I think he's picked a good stock.
It looks really good. Look, the only thing that's interesting is you expect volume to be supporting the move, and at the moment it's not, even though the price has just taken off. But
cool.
It'll be something interesting. Anyway, keep us up to date as to how that one goes.
Yep.
And next, Dale, we've got a question from Peter. Thanks very much, Peter. This stock is PLS, which we often follow on the show. Good stock choice. Medium-term hold, your thoughts? I think we had this one on the show, was it a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, we have had, because it's been one of those ones that has been the best and worst stock in the week so many times over the last couple of months, and you can see there by the volatility on it. But looking at this, if we look
well, it's up, like it's it's obviously trending up now, but it's just a question of, is it going to keep going through that high and how far? I mean, the fact that it's making those higher highs, higher lows is really good. That's really positive, provided it just keeps going through the high, and you've got that trough nearby just to set as a stop loss underneath it if it does.
Did Peter
turn.
say much? I wasn't listening while I was.
He didn't say much. He just sort of said our thoughts.
Just our thoughts for medium term, because it does trend quite nicely, but it is quite volatile. So you do need some really good rules on this, because you can see one gap there, so it does gap as well. So, and this is only 2 days, so we've got Monday and Tuesday, and you can see the close is where my pointer is. So there's some sort of weakness or resistance to getting through that level. So just be careful.
Just got to decide on what risk is willing to take as well, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, absolutely. But don't mind the tip. Don't mind it at all.
Good choice. For those watching tonight's show on YouTube, this is your chance to join in and share your support for the show, and you do that by hitting that subscribe button. And whilst you're there, hit that like button. It's easy and completely free, but there's heaps of so many like you. You'll find heaps of content. I was just trying to spit it out. I've got your problem this week.
You've got what? My problem? By them hitting the like button and the subscribe button, it tells other people this show's good, and that helps them find the show.
I thought it was just about you.
It's always about me.
I know, exactly.
Now, if you'd like access to a private link to watch my analysis of the top 20 stocks that I'm recording in the next day or so, I believe, maybe Thursday, I think I'm recording it. And so this is your last chance to gain access to that top 20 stock recording. You need to post a comment below this video on YouTube, and then email us an image of your post. to info@wealthwithin.com.au. In return, we're going to send you a private link to my analysis on what I believe the top 20 stocks will do in the coming year. So if you're already a subscriber to talkingwealth.com and you're watching on talkingwealth.com, don't worry, you're going to automatically receive access to the recording as part of your subscription. All right, now we have a question from Sonia who says, "Hi Dale and Janine, I love your show, Talking Wealth, and absolutely love the cause. Thank you for all that you share. My stock tonight is Perpetual Limited. After Janine spoke about Magellan, I thought I would take a look at the others in this sector, and Perpetual looks like it has found support around $20 and has recently had a lovely climb with an entry presenting shortly, depending on what it does on Tuesday. It has a nice 7.7% dividend with 40% franking. I understand the dividend is not guaranteed. The recent spike, if you're wondering, were due to the takeover offer at $33, which was since rejected. I'm not in it yet, but looking at an entry at $26.47. I look forward to your thoughts. Look forward to your... thanks, Sonia.
Interesting stock. Look at the sideways move on that. You know, it's funny how we talk about stocks, isn't it? It's like, you know, people would look at a car or a lady or something, go, look at the something on that. I'm saying, look at the something on this stock. It
Looking
just looks amazing.
Looking at a car or a lady.
I don't know.
I could get slapped for that, you know that.
Well, I can say it and it's okay.
You can say that.
Now, just look at that sideways move, though. Now we get back to subject. You can
it's
see
definitely not a buy and hold, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can see this huge support under here. It's incredible. So I actually really like this stock choice, Sonia. Good, really interesting stock choice. Trend lines would be good on that.
She's just enrolled in the last 2 modules of our course, actually.
Oh, fantastic. Today, well, she's going to love all that price analysis that she's going to find.
She'll get a lot more.
Yeah, a lot more.
A lot more.
Yeah, okay. All right, now we're looking at the weekly chart just quickly. She's saying to look at buying at 26.47. Yes. So it's moving up nicely. I mean, there's plenty of reasons why she could do that.
Yep.
You know, other people might look for some more conservative rules, but if she's back tested it and she's found some good analysis in there,
I think she's on the money, and she'll be able to send all her stuff through to Trading Essentials when she starts Module 4.
Oh, excellent.
To get everybody to check it out. But that is it for Perpetual.
Well, our next email, I'm just jumping out of my skin to say this one is from Paul. Wife and I both enjoy your show. Can you tell us about RFG? It's the owner of some interesting international brands like Donut King. That's why I'm interested in this one. Yeah. Gloria Jeans, brokers say it's strong, but it's fallen 99% off its high. Jane and Paul, good one.
Wow. If I said wifey and me, I'd be slapped for my wife. She would hate that.
Yep.
But yeah,
everyone's different. Different things make the world go round.
But my wife.
Don't judge it. Just let it go.
I'm not.
Let it go.
Okay, just.
Zen. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Now, retail
Donut
food.
King.
Retail food. You're not going to let me live that one down.
No.
Retail food group. Right. Do we think it looks good or crap?
Look, I think there's a reason why the brokers recommended it a strong buy and why it's fallen away, because generally brokers get it wrong anyway. So to me, if they're saying it's a strong sell, then it's probably a good time to buy it. But you know, but it doesn't surprise me it's fallen away while they're doing it. But it is such a volatile stock at the moment, isn't it? So right now it's too early, even though it's a big strong.
Way too early, isn't it?
Couple of weeks up. Well, last week it was very strongly up. This week it's up a little bit, and you can see volume rising through into here, which is a good indication. I wonder if the
brokers, you know, when the brokers talk about these sort of stocks, they should be saying it's high risk. That's what, you know.
The day I take a broker recommendation is the day I retire, I think.
Yeah.
I really do.
So you're going to keep working?
No, I don't need to. I don't. I'll take your recommendations over a broker every single day.
Oh, thank you for that. That's lovely.
Well, because you're not going to be swayed by all this BS that they do anyway, but that's a whole new thing. But it's not a highly liquid stock, so that's a bit of a problem. It's been a huge, big, long basing pattern through here. Huge, big move down, but I'd like to see a little bit more strength before I get into this stock. I mean, if you're looking at it because it's 6 cents, then there's the wrong reason to look at it, but it needs a lot more before I would get too excited about it.
That's a good point, actually. Now, thanks, Dale. Before we get into the topic and some great stocks, I'd like to share my quote for the night. And you'll want to hear this one, as it's by the late Lewis Simpson, Warren Buffett's champion stock picker, who said, even the world's greatest business is not a good investment if the price is too high.
Yep, that's so true. And I think Tonight, in our topic tonight, we've spotted the best undervalued stocks to buy for capital growth that have experienced some pretty decent falls, and we want to share the criteria that we believe will help you make better, more informed decisions when you invest. So I like your quote.
I'm really looking forward to this, Dale. Now it's time for a little bargain hunting at low prices, wouldn't you say?
Bargain hunting?
I knew I'd get you there.
You love bargain hunting, don't you?
No.
You go op shop hunting and everything.
Yeah, but not bargain hunting.
No, you don't. What's the difference?
There's a big difference. It depends on your philosophy about waste.
Well, what is a bargain?
All right. What's really interesting to me, Dale, is how dramatic the falls on some stocks have been, and we want you to be in the box seat to pick up good ones with a high probability of recovering. This means if you want to profit in the short, medium and long term, it's time to listen closely. Now first, why don't we take a sneak peek at a couple of interesting stocks right now?
Are you getting ahead of yourself? We said we've got to tell them how they can do that first. So shouldn't we do that first?
Okay. You know, Dale, you're right. I got a
As
bit
always.
excited.
As always.
As always. Now, it's critical that everyone understands when looking at the price action, the degree of the fall does not automatically indicate a stock is undervalued and ready to buy. They are often higher risk, as stocks that have been falling can always continue to fall. So you need confirmation that direction has changed to get in safely. Before we look at the stocks, we've 3 criteria you can use in your search for the best undervalued stocks.
Okay, now number 1 is identify quality companies in a market or sector driven sell-off that have been oversold in a wave of pessimism. We've seen a few of those lately, haven't we?
Well, we have. Because of the interest rate increases, our market's gone sideways. There's been lots of different sectors that have been sold off heavily. Some of them have started
There's only
to
one
rebound.
done really well, and that's tech, and the rest have done there's a chunk that done average, but then we've had quite a few like healthcare, energy,
Even banks have been
banks,
sort of
financials, and materials are sort of in the middle. But but looking at the All Ords was only up 3 or 4% something for the last financial year, so it hasn't done too well.
Number 2 is look for stocks with low price to earnings or PE ratios with the potential to increase earnings, and we'll touch on that later.
I hope so. Now number 3, use technical analysis to time your entries and exits to determine the downside risk and the upside potential that you're going to get. And I think that's a really critical one. A lot of people just look at the financials, and we don't tend to look at that because we're technical analysts. But they really need to look at, is the company worth looking at? Is it undervalued fundamentally?
Yeah.
Which your PE and EPS and everything will tell them.
Well, I mean, it's about the fact that the technicals tell you when to buy. That's the whole point of it, isn't it? So it doesn't matter what fundamental analysis you do. It's
Well, that's
more
what people
about when.
ask all the time. So when should I buy this? And the fundamentals don't tell you when. They just tell you what.
Which is interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of people talk about the fundamentals and talk about risk, but how can you ignore the technicals if you're really managing the risk?
You can't. And it's interesting, when I did a survey of the YouTube viewers only 2 days ago, and we find about 60-odd% of the people watching us are more investors.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily traders, and so nearly 30% are buy and hold type of investors. So we haven't.
Which is interesting, isn't it?
Which
Because
is interesting.
when people come through and they see what we do, we convert them from investors, don't we?
We'll teach them why you should be buying and holding. Very much so.
Why you should not be.
Yeah.
Well, Dale, I'd like to emphasise how a lot of investors get caught out by thinking stocks are cheap when they look at PEs in isolation in single figures and assume that they're undervalued. And there are other fundamental criteria they should consider in addition to a stock's PE ratio, including earnings per share, look at historical growth forecasts, debt to equity and cash flows.
Now, I mean, I suppose, Janine, PEs are helpful in that they provide a fast way to get started in creating a watch list, but it's not the only way to come up with a list of stocks, is it?
That's right. So, we teach people, depending on what their preference is, they can start with fundamentals, and there are different fundamental screens that people can actually do to determine which stocks are the best. And then there are the technical screens that they can do. So there are many different ways to actually find the stocks that will suit them using a technical screening strategy.
We actually do. A lot of people would think we do all our screening fundamental and then go technically. We go the other way because it's so much faster to do a technical screen than it is fundamental.
Yeah.
And once you narrow down the list of stocks you want to buy because the timing is right, then you can do your fundamentals, which quicker.
Yeah.
So you narrow down a lot of time. I know a lot of people do fundamental screening. Can spend hours and hours and hours
on the
doing it
data
to come up with some stocks they'd like to look at, but then the timing's not always right. So we do it technically first. But
Right.
yeah, but there's more other ways, as you mentioned.
There are, and look, some people come to us and they've started out fundamentally, that was their focus, and then they turn into technical analysts, don't they?
Oh yeah, we've had some people that are staunch fundamentalists that are now technical analysts, yeah.
All right, before we get into the big reveal and reveal the stocks on our list, I'd like to take a look at an article about undervalued stocks and PE ratios by someone very wise.
Now, who are you talking about, Janine? Mr. Buffett?
Well, I don't want to hold you in suspense any longer, Dale, so let's take a look at an article on CanStar's website.
For undervalued stocks in 2022, the Australian stock market is likely to be an important turning point, and therefore now could be an opportune time to look for quality companies that may have been oversold or undervalued and may even lead the next rise. Hey, that's one from you. I thought it was going to be one from me. You snuck that one in.
That's funny, yeah.
So it's a CanStar article that you wrote last year.
It's a CanStar article,
This
and it
time
was
last year.
right at an important time because the market made a low in June.
Well, it did, and it went really well from there. So you picked it right.
So it was talking about PE ratios and the
Yes.
importance of looking at them in a certain way. So, CanStar can have some very good articles on their website even.
Yeah, I mean, I know
Even
when
if they're
people
not
look
from
at the stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I write it for Money Magazine every
That's
week.
right.
We have a market report in there. We write for CanStar, Finder quite regularly, Age, Fin Review. There's all sorts of articles, but it was a good one. I like that one.
Thank you. Unless the market is in a major decline like the GFC, there are always opportunities. And we know historically the Australian market has a PE of around 14.6 or 15. So put simply, if you find good stocks with PEs well below the market and sector PEs, they may be worth a closer look. Now, all of these stocks were found on Market Index and had PEs below 10. So let's take a look at the stocks.
So you've got to get off my Resolute, or the RFG, sorry. So
Gee,
we
you
get
can't
into
find
that one.
good help anywhere, can you?
No, I don't want to help. I know. But it
All
is
right.
important. Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Because obviously some people will read books from the US or they watch US websites and they talk about PEs there. And you just got to ignore the PEs from US stuff because it's a different market. They need to be studying what's normal in Australia and what's normal for sectors in Australia.
That's true. And it's been turned on its head in recent years because we had the financials with low PEs historically
Yeah.
turn the other way, and the mining stocks with high PEs
I
historically
know, that was
become
strange,
the low
wasn't
PE
it?
stocks.
That was
Yeah.
super strange. So don't necessarily watch videos from US and take what they talk about with PEs. That's really what we're saying is look at the Australian market and compare your PEs within Australia because you're going to get a much better picture from that.
And
But
like
what
we
are
said,
looking
there's
at?
so many
Yeah.
ways to actually choose stocks, even if you're
Yeah.
filtering with these PEs, and the decisions you can make to filter could be different from one person to the next. But
That's
we've
true.
just had some really simple criteria. Market Index, as Dale was saying,
So
has
these are all
criteria.
under 10 PE
These are all under 10, and they
Wow.
had positive earnings.
and positive earnings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's earnings historical.
Yep, I understand that.
So looking at this one's BSL. Now, the market cap is 9.3 billion.
Yep, good.
A
I like
PE of 5.5.
Holy
Do you
moly.
think that's bizarre?
Well, that is bizarre. That's way undervalued.
That's way under, isn't it?
So why isn't it moving?
Look, when I'll just compare it to one of the smaller stocks. Here's one here. There's 2.63 billion, the PE of 3.4.
Wow.
So we're looking at stocks with PEs under 10, as we said. Now, just thinking about what's happening on the weekly chart for a minute, the stock has actually dropped to 43.6% as part of this fall. Now, it has recovered some of
It's
that.
done really well.
It's still down 21.85% from the high. It's just been moving sideways at the moment. But stocks like this that trend beautifully, this is the sort of stock that's really good to have on the list.
Yeah.
Stocks that have these really nice trends. So you can see that there. And it does that time and time again. So it may have significant falls.
Is
And
this
then
the perfect setup?
I think the perfect setup is actually passed in that when it was down at these lows, there were lots of rules to buy, but it is obviously showing that there's significant resistance at this level because it's hit it once. I'll just expand that up. I thought you were going to tell me to do that and I beat you to it. Once, twice and 3 times and is still at around the same level. So if we see another move up, you'd expect that to go up and challenge
So
the
this
all-time
is going
high.
to benefit from when we get rid of all this BS of recessionary talk and stuff like that, there's going to be one of these stocks that are going to really benefit.
Yeah.
Because today's decision to hold interest rates is a good sign. And I know in the US, all the metrics in them, basically the US are saying that inflation's peaked over there. So, you know, I think we might start to get some good news in the second half of this year. So it could be a nice little setup for this. I like it.
So that's one we're looking at the moment. But of course, you've always got to bear in mind that if a stock on the list goes the other way, then you know, it's just it's all about
just be bullish, don't be bearish.
It's all about movement, isn't
bullish.
it? Following the movement of the stock. So then we've got Coronado Global Resources, CRN, market cap of 2.63 billion, a PE of 3.4.
Wow.
Now 48% fall down into this low here, right? So this is a big fall. This is one of
early last year to now. Wow.
Yeah, this is actually a really interesting stock. We've had it on the show before, and it looks like it's setting up beautifully. We're seeing a bit of a move up this month, so it's traded above last month's bar, which is really nice. And we don't have a lot of data on it. So this is a stock that is one of those ones where we like to see, you know, 10 years of data if we can, historically, to make good judgments on it. But I mean, in saying that, it is about 5 years, which is okay as well. For short to medium term, it can give you a good idea about what the stock could do in future in applying your analysis. But this is one that I really like, and I don't know, you may differ from me, or you may just want to be different because I said I like it.
I don't argue with you because you're too close. You can punch me. So I do like it, what you're saying. I do really, really like this. I think it's worth investigating a lot more. If you're more of a short-term to medium-term trader, this is probably wouldn't be six.
And I think for anyone out there, it's really worth watching what happens to the PE ratio, what happens to the earnings growth forecast. You should be able to get that off your broker website, or if you're on something like Morningstar, you can get that and just see what's going as the stock price is trading, not just at the point where you buy and you sell. Because that really builds your knowledge and understanding of those metrics. So that one, we've done that one. Now, ELD, market cap of 107 billion, a PE of 8.92. Now, this has had a dramatic fall. We covered this. One of our lovely listeners wrote in about this some time ago, and I'm not sure, I can't remember whether it was when it had this dramatic fall and they were worried about it. But obviously if they got out of it, and we would have been concerned about it at the time, but if they got out of it, then obviously they would have held onto a lot more of their capital than if they'd had ridden it all the way down to this bottom. But I actually think this is a really interesting point right now, looking at this stock.
Look at the volume the last 4 or 5 weeks. It's just a lot bigger than what it has been. Or it's roughly if you look at that, it's pretty sort of similar to that, but only a bit higher. Similar sort of setup here. But that's got to tell you something. And that was the start of this big bull run. So is it going to start another big bull run from here? Because if you've got support right across here.
It's not conclusive yet because stocks can always flutter around these levels and go lower, and that's what you have to be mindful of. And it is risky. It's
too early.
It's not a top 20 stock, obviously. So you have to look at the stock and say, well, does that really suit my portfolio criteria? But, you know, it is too early, like Dale was saying.
Way too early. But, I mean, I'd let this unfold for like 6 to 8 weeks and then come into it and see what happens.
Yeah, okay. Next stock is Genesis Minerals. Now, this one's got a market cap of 1.32 billion and a PE, and I couldn't believe this. I just thought, is the data right?
How do you get a PE 1.07?
What the world's going on? I don't know. Anyway, looking at this stock, I just saw the setup and I thought, this looks really interesting, the way that it's unfolded, doesn't it?
I love it.
But this week the price is down, so it's not trading higher. It seems to be getting stuck around this $1.40, $1.50 mark. It looks like this unfolding, a 60% fall again, which we looked at the last stock and it had a 60% fall, and this one has also had a 60% fall from its high. It's recovered somewhat, but not really conclusive as to the fact that it's going up. But the trough, the nearest trough is this one last week, which is close by at $1.30. So if it takes off below that, we'll just, you know, put it to one side and then maybe come back and have a look at it later on. But that's Genesis Minerals. Now, IPL, Inside Tech Pivot, market cap of 5.4 billion, PE of 9.15. Now, this one's actually gone south in a big way in recent months. So it's about looking for some of these ones that may have been sold off.
14 years.
Sold off significantly. It's come back to test a level that historically is important for the stock. So it's a matter of just waiting to see if there's some upside in there. But the risk is, because of the degree of this fall that it could go lower. I'm just watching $3 to see what's going on around that just below $3 mark. But this could be an interesting opportunity down the track.
It's got a low PE, but it doesn't excite me too much. But you know, it's if you are a short-term trader, then it's probably a stock that you want to have a good look at because it does move quite fast when it does take off. But,
it does indeed, yeah.
You know, but I think I like the couple of others.
You like the
CRN
earlier
and,
ones and BSL?
Yeah, I like those.
All right, so look, now Magellan Financial is one we've talked about on the show before.
We have.
1.78 billion, PE of 8.43. Now it's trading around that $10 mark. Now 89 or almost, you may as well say 90% fall.
I like
we
this.
Looked at. We have been waiting patiently for this one. It's come off the bottom.
Like it.
It looks like this low is, you know, reasonably solid now. Now notice the outside bar. We were talking about outside bars on the All Ordinaries before. Lots of indecision around here. It's a warning, right? And then the sell-off happened again. But looking at the bottom here, we've seen the low. It opened low, and then it closed right high on that bar there. Now it's not to say it's not going to trade back within the range of that outside bar. It could do. Just want to go to the daily chart, see if we've got any gaps and what it's doing. There's a little one there. And it's been going up now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. It could be getting close to a short term, a short turn. We'll just need to just keep an eye on it. But to me, that looks really, really nice.
I like it. I like it.
For a start of a
but
recovery.
there's plenty of time, and that's the problem. Is some people get
there's
FOMO
no rush,
and
is
they
there?
go, "Oh, it's gone. It's gone hugely. You know, it's taken off." And if you look between there and there, we're talking about 13%. They go, "Wow, I've missed it."
Yeah.
But there's plenty of time for this stock because there's so much room to get up into these sorts of areas. You don't want to take the high risk. If it does come off again for a week or two, then it gives you another chance to get into it nicely. So you know.
I agree. So then we've
stress.
got Genesis Energy. Now this one's got a market cap of 2.68 billion. Now the PE is 9.33. There's a bit of a sideways move happening at the moment. I'm just going to draw something here. We can see it's actually now consolidating nicely. If it breaks out to the upside, then we know that there's potential. But the real risk right now is it could break again to the downside. So that's what I'm just really watching here. Is this could just be rolling over.
Yep. It could.
So that's what we're looking at here with GNE. Next, we've got Stanmore Resources Limited. Now, of course, you've got to go away and check the earnings growth for these stocks as well. So it's not, remember we said it's not just about the PE ratios, even though they're low right now. This stock has been trading up so strongly. It had a pullback of around 37%.
And you like to see that.
You like to see these sort of 40% falls on these sorts of shares, but at the moment, look, there's a bit of a potential turn happening here. The momentum down has slowed. At this point, I'm not completely clear as to whether it's going to get through 340. You know, it might push up. There might be a short-term opportunity in it.
Yep.
I just don't know whether it's going to be beyond that.
Well, you've got to look at in terms of this was a huge, big move through here, and on a completely different angle than this whole move up. If I used the trend line tool, and you look at this sort of angle through here, you can just see how it is really different than, look, that one was really spiking. So you've got to think it does have a possibility to come back to this sort of angle again. But hey, if it does take off from here, it could be really sustainable. But we need to make sure it stays above this sort of low here. If it goes through that, then it's probably going to come right back down into this sorts of levels, I would suggest. But it's worth keeping on your watch list and having a really good look at it. But
what I was surprised about was that there's not that many really big stocks that came up on the list. And I mean, I went from the top of the list in terms of market capitalisation to do this. And so it was really interesting. There's a few more stocks that we'll do for our Talking Wealth people that have a couple of bigger stocks in. But I've got one more, and this was one of the large ones,
so Woodside,
Market cap 66 billion, PE 8.24. Now, this hasn't experienced the sort of downward thrust that the other ones have experienced. So
I like this.
22% down at the moment. It's just consolidating sideways, and it's refused to go down. You know, it's being really stubborn, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's this angle that's underneath all of that, and it's trying to push through it, and will it do it? That's the real question right now.
No, I think it will. I think it's worth keeping on that watch list because it has been doing a lot of stuff over the last few years, obviously with COVID and all the things that are going on with ESG, investing, everything. It's trying to reinvent itself a little bit as well. So I think that $40 is a pretty heavy type of resistance type of level at the moment. If it broke through that, then hey, the sky's the limit, as they say. But really, I mean, what I want to say is to a lot of people a lot of our people watching us are not traders. There's about 30% of the people that are watching us have been trading for under 2 years, but majority of people are investors and a lot of buy and hold type of people. We don't put a lot on these charts, technical analysis, and I know some of the traders say to us, well, geez, you don't do much on the charts. I mean, well, no, we don't, because we'd lose a lot of people. We're trying to keep it at that level where people can see what we're doing. But we are technical analysts, we're not fundamentalists. So, and some people go, well, why don't you show us more stuff about the stocks themselves and what do they do and all their
but
metrics.
You can look that up on the company website.
You can go to Market Index website and look it all up yourself and do that. So people don't need us to do that. They need us to look at the charts and give our thoughts. So that's what we're doing here at the moment. So we've got a few more stocks later on for our talking.
Yeah, we do.
As the
but
bonus.
we've got a few interesting emails coming up too.
Well, we do have some of that, so we'll have some more. For Talking Wealth subscribers, we'll have that in your bonus content later on, but that is it for our topic for tonight. For those watching on YouTube, if you are interested in building your wealth, then subscribe to talkingwealth.com and you'll gain access to hundreds of interviews with experts from around the globe. There is a free 7-day trial waiting for you to subscribe by visiting talkingwealth.com. Now, Janine, before we get into more stocks, I think it's time we get into the What The segment.
Great. Now, a title that will really make you say, what the? I couldn't go past this one. Let's take a look at the title on the Macro Business website. The title reads, Palaszczuk power slaps whinging BHP.
What? Palaszczuk.
Power slaps whinging BHP. You heard it.
Palaszczuk power slaps whinging BHP.
Now, does that make a point?
Conjures up a lot of images in my mind.
It does. I could not go past this battle of the sexes to see who could stick their chests out the most, and it was between the Queensland Premier, Anastasia Palaszczuk, and BHP Chief Mike Henry. I'd like to read some parts of the article. The author wrote, the surprise reform announcement at the 11th hour is the best way for policymakers to defeat greedy corporations and get the public their fair share of the commodity endowment. It is a great shame that Albo's woke Canberra cowards did not learn this lesson when they wasted months consulting with the gas cartel only to be wholly reamed.
Ain't that true?
Isn't it?
Yeah. Ain't that true?
So, you know, she was obviously very strategic in this decision.
It got to be, and I'm just sick of... Now, people are going to complain because I'm going to talk about politics again. They don't like it when I talk about politics, but our governments are gutless. They really are. They let the corporates dictate everything, and I think we need to change that. We own the resources in Australia and we should be benefiting from it.
Well, there's pretty strong activism that generally goes on, and that's probably why Anastasia Palaszczuk made the move that she did.
We're paying a gazillion dollars for our gas, and yet we make more than what we need.
Look, I think that there will be heaps of Australians who watch this who will be on your side now because of that's happened.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, whether you're red or blue, I don't really care. They're both crap. Both sides of politics, but they need to be looking after us a hell of a lot more. But to me, the government present and past, our ability to collect royalties should be for all Australians and not be for the benefit of the BHPs and that of the world. As an investor, I like that BHP makes money, but how much is enough money and how much is too much money?
Well, according to the article, there was a freeze on coal royalties for 10 years. There's more. BHP printed money on outrageous 60% margins for its Queensland coal mines.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. 60% margin on your coal.
But I can remember what was going on in Western Australia before, Western Australia experienced that huge crunch with a mining crisis, is that the royalties that we were getting from different mines in Western Australia was way below what it should have been and fixed. There were some stories about it being fixed for more than 10 years. So, You know, I just think we need to get more of our own back. But look, there's another side to this argument, and I'm for big Australians. I'm for big BHPs and the big Woodsides in terms of, you know, if we want to be able to pass on the funds to companies that then pay us back. So they get money. We get money from our superannuation, and which is the biggest stock on the market. You know, so some of these stocks have a huge influence on our superannuation and whether we get good returns.
But with these sorts of companies, yes, it's high risk mining. I don't discount that, so they should get their benefit. But we also help fund a lot of stuff that they do, some of their things to do, and give them money. So
and we need to make sure that everything's fair, that the companies are actually receiving a fair, you know, amount, and that Australian government is receiving the royalties, and therefore it goes into the pockets of Australians, not going overseas. Anyway,
that's it for our What The segment for now. Now's the time you're going to give us a call on 03929 09988. That's pick up your phone right now and ring 92909988. We can even text a question to us on the number of your screen. So make sure you pick up your phone right now. The numbers are on your screen and we're waiting for you.
Whilst we wait for your texts and calls, we will get into the next email. Our next email is from Gillham. Hello Janine and Dale, I just completed my assessment for Module 2. Congratulations. Can you please have a look at GPT please? I've had a small position since August 2021 at $4.67. The stock did well until January 2022, up 19.7%. When all the interest rate drama started, no exit rules meant a profit of 19% turned into a loss of 21%, and I now understand why it's so hard for people to exit on both a reasonable profit and even harder on a big loss. I decided to take a calculated risk by increasing my position a fair bit with the objective to get back into profit sooner. Regards, Gillham. Now that's
when
just a tough decision, isn't it? He didn't say, so
I wouldn't have done that. But anyway, he's going to learn a little bit different rules around it because now he's done Module 2. Because obviously he's bought in around here, and obviously my guess he's probably increased his position somewhere down below his buy price.
Once he gets to Module 3, he's going to realise the mistake that he's made, I think.
Yeah, he will. He will. And I'm not having a go at him because that's what a lot of people do, is they see the stock go below what they bought, so then they try and buy more because so when it gets back up to where they bought it, they'll have more money. But the point is, when is he going to do that and how long and what could you be doing in the opportunity cost? So,
I mean, often when someone is studying with us, it takes a little while to sort of get rid of that sort of bad habits, can I say?
Well, it's trusting rules and behaviour.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, but is this stock likely to go up from here? And right now, you can say it looks better, but it doesn't look super. You know, especially on the monthly side of it, doesn't look super that great, does it?
It's not going to look interesting until it gets back above $4.50.
Yeah, easily. So at the moment, I don't know. I can't give him a lot of good news at the moment. That's what I'm trying to say is I can't give, and you know, he's obviously in a loss situation.
Look, we're thinking that the market is going to turn bullish. That's what all our analysis is saying. And we believe that there's a bigger boom to come. So if that boom happens, property has to go up.
It has to go up, but when?
That's right.
This could be going sideways and doing nothing for a little while longer. So it's, you know, to me, I don't know.
I hope it works for him. That's all I can say.
But he will learn, Gillham, you will actually learn about what's going on and how to manage that better and what mistakes you've made and how to fix all of those as you go through the course. But that's what we're here for, to help you as well. Now we do have a text, Janine, and this one is from Anthony. And Anthony says it's on CMW is the stock code that he wants. He said he bought at 56 cents. Time to sell? Question. Thoughts? Question. So he bought it at 50 cents. Time to sell.
56 cents, right, which is here.
Yeah.
I would say at this point, if he's still holding it in there, that, you know, it looks like it could be turning around here. So you want to give it a chance to do that. But
what price did he buy it at?
Where I've put my marker.
So he bought it at 56 and now he's saying time to sell. But it's only at 56 cents now, isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't quite make sense, but that's what he said, or that's what you've read out.
Okay.
I mean, one of the most interesting things that I can see, first of all, is that we've got this really nice angle of a trend down there, and it's way below the angle of that. So that sort of spells a bit of a danger zone for a start. And then it's just kept making lower lows as we've been as it's going to the right-hand side of the chart. But remember I was talking about the outside bars here?
Yeah.
We saw that outside reversal there, but this was back in June 2022 when the market turned back up, but it was only temporary and it continued to fall. Now we've seen another one. So it's possible that this could be the turn, but we just need to wait, probably for a month or so, to see whether it's more likely to keep going up.
This could be a bit of a suckers rally before it turns around. It looks different because it's quite strong, but then you just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, volume's a little bit better, but yeah.
But it's another property stock, which is interesting.
Correct. Yeah, and I'm not going to tell him to sell now, because if he's just bought it at 56, even if he bought it on the week before.
Well, he has to make his own call anyway.
Yeah. If he bought it the week before and he wants to sell this week, I think he bought it the wrong time.
Well, you'd just be saying set a stop loss now based on where it is.
Correct. All right, we do have another email now, Janine. This one is from Anton, and Anton saying, hi, Janine and Dale. Thanks for another great show this week. Could you please have a look at FPH for me? Bought on the 9th of January this year at about $21.70, and was wondering what your expectations for that stock are. Looks like a nice trending stock to me. Probably found a higher low on the weekly basis just recently, which leads me to increase my stop loss to that level, which also coincides with a 50-period moving average, by the way, and potentially add to the position. I know this is not Dale's favourite action to do. Thanks and all the best, Anton. He knows me well, doesn't he? Yeah, I don't add to positions like that, but I'm not sure why he'd want to. But anyway, you can have a chat.
All right, now, look, I'm quite happy if he wants to. You and I are different in that way, but I would just say that, you know, if someone wants to add to positions, as long as they do it in a way that's not going to increase their risk too much. So that's the main thing.
And that's what most people don't do that way.
That's right, they do the opposite. But so I guess if they talk to you, they'll sort that out pretty quick, won't they?
You're saying they lose arguments when they talk to me.
Yeah, that's right. And so looking at the stock and the way that it's unfolded, I'm not against it. Like, it's had a bit of a pullback, we can see that, but it may actually be temporary. So we just need to wait and see. If it trades below last week's low, I'd be saying it's got more downside, just watch out. But it may actually recover from this point. Let's hope.
But he's gone on a bit of he should have sold it already, because if he's bought, did he buy here? No.
He's bought where that blue line is, I think.
Bought in here, so he should have exited it right up here. There's some exit signals all the way through there. And then he could have bought in down here when it gives us a better sign. So that's what people don't do. There's better ways of doing things, and that's what a lot of people.
Do you know what? I'm going to sort of defend him and go against you for a minute.
I'm not having a go at him. He
I
knows I like him.
Because the issue here is when a stock. This is a really good example because you can be riding a stock up, right? And we talk about letting profits run. But then a stock like this, all of a sudden, look at how far it dropped really quickly in 1 week. Now, that was 10%. That wiped out all of his profit nearly in 1 week. So it's sort of unfair in a way, but it's just the reality of what the market does, especially with certain stocks like this. So, and I guess that's part of the lesson. It's that getting familiar with the stock that you're trading and know that it can do this. And then, like you say, there were exits up here that could have been considered, but he wouldn't know that if he didn't have the knowledge to work that out.
Okay.
But looking at this one now, I think all we can do is just wait and see, like you said.
If it goes up, stay with it. And if it starts to go down, get out.
All right, Dale, it looks like we've got a text from Adrian. CXO, does it look like a continuation of the fall past my 15% stop loss, verge of selling, thoughts?
CXO. Okay,
Core lithium.
Core lithium, which we've covered this a few times in
We
the last
have,
couple of months,
actually.
haven't we? Core lithium.
Look, I actually don't mind it at the moment if it goes up from here.
So you're saying it's past his point of selling, his 15%?
Right. I mean, look,
So where he would have bought it, let's see what it's from that high, it's 26% down. So he's obviously bought it somewhere in here.
Well, you don't know.
Well, that would be my guess, because he wouldn't have bought it through here, hopefully, but he's probably bought it somewhere through here. He's now down. I don't mind this at the moment. I think if this keeps finding some support and moving up, I think it'll be fine. But
so
if he hasn't sold it already, which he should have.
Look again at the dollar, right? So it's gone through that dollar mark again, and it's got to get through that. So all we need to see is a couple of weeks, strong weeks up, and that could be the start of the next move. If it goes back below this low, though, I'd be pretty concerned about it.
Yeah, because I mean, to me, it's about the rules. I mean, he said the falling through is 15%. He should have
So
sold it.
he's really
then.
just got to say, all right, if he didn't
Yeah.
sell it, okay, he probably realises that's a bit of a mistake, but then
Where's
he's
the
got
line
to,
in the
where's
sand
the
now?
line in the sand? Yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
All right, Janine, we've got another question, or another email question. This time it's from Max, and Max says, hi, Dale and Janine. I'd just like to hear your opinion about VUL, which I have sold to protect my investment, but considering buying again, the shares have, in my opinion, bottomed and have a good support, and it had a modest rise. Is it time, or is the time right to buy in again? I still believe the fundamentals of the company are good. Thanks, Max. So let's have a look at this for Max. I'm not sure how he's figured out it's bottomed yet.
Now, this is the monthly chart, okay? So it looks like he said, let's just have a look at the degree of the, if the button would work, that'd be great. It's not working. Yeah. All right, let's have a look.
It's an operator error, not a button error.
So we can see there an 80% fall in the decline, and it looks like it's trying to find this bottom. I think I agree with him in that it could be.
But it hasn't confirmed that yet.
It hasn't confirmed, but there's a bit of a short-term move, sideways move here. Now notice how each time the stock has risen up, it's done so, quite, and it's had some strong moves up in those little sideways moves before it's taken off. Well, we haven't seen anything significant yet in terms of a move up off that low, which is really interesting because look at the volume changing. So I'd just be keeping a good and close eye on it as well if it's a stock that you're interested in. But a trend line down here would also be something to look at. We're seeing this move down. It's not through the angle of that trend yet, so I'd be
it could be right, but again, it's it's the kind of risk you want to take.
It is a risky stock, isn't it?
It's a risky stock. So is that kind of risk you want to take? Because it could be bottoming, but it doesn't. It hasn't really confirmed it yet. Even though it looks a little bit better, and I do like the extra volume in it, but it depends on whether you want to take that risk.
Well, that's all we have on VUL. We hope you enjoyed our show on YouTube. For those watching on Talking Wealth, stay tuned for your bonus content. And now for our YouTube viewers, now it's time to show your support for the show. And this means you need to comment below. Give us a big thumbs up and make sure that you're a subscriber.
In next week's show, we're going to take a look at the 10 best stocks for high dividend yields. We'll also be answering your questions and so much more. So make sure you put next Tuesday night show on your calendar. Now we'd like your thoughts on where you see the Australian stock market heading for the remainder of this year. So comment below to let us know what you think. Also smash that like button by giving us a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.